Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
We pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Welcome everybody to the February 2026 meeting of the Fitchburg Library Board. Before we call the meeting to order right at 5:30, before we get started on the agenda, we will do introductions. And let's start down at this end, and we'll just go around the table, please.
Okay, just name and...
Yep, name and your role. Yep.
Okay. Board member Dang Chonvirawong.
Okay.
This is Board Member Brett Wagner.
Board Member Brian Richards.
Ken Martin, Board Member and President.
Tim Powers, Admin Assistant.
Wendy Rawson, Library Director.
John Serenian, Board Member.
Logan Reichstad, Board Member and Fitchburg District 3 Alder.
Kristen Garvey, the Youth Services Manager.
Tegan Caro, Adult and Technical Services Manager.
Phil Hansen, Access Services Manager.
Lisa Stipik, Digital Services Librarian.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, everybody. I don't think we have any other public appearance other than your staff here, so ask for a motion to approve the minutes for the January meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Motion made. Any questions, comments, revisions on the minutes? Seeing none, hearing none, we will ask for a vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. And then financial report. May we have a motion to approve the November financial register and overview?
I'll make
I make a motion.
John? Okay, so.
All right, a few things to just point out, starting with the register. You'll see in account 250, we've got a charge there to the Wisconsin State Journal. That is for the budget amendment. So when we did the budget amendment to cover the utility bill, because that was an amendment that went to council, it also had to go in the State Journal. So just something legally we have to do. And then the next one, Dane County Library Service Outreach Spanish Story Time. So Dane County Library Service contracted with one of their staff members to do Spanish language story times. And any libraries that were interested were able to kind of raise your hand. And so we did. And I believe coming up this next year, we're going to continue to do it, but they're going to cover the cost of it with Beyond the Page money. So, yep, happy to do that.
And can I ask you to pause right there?
Yeah.
Welcome Rachel
Yes.
by Zoom. Welcome, Rachel. We just got started. We're working on the register, financial register right now.
Okay, great, thank you.
Then in account 355, you'll see we purchased 5 new Kindles for the library. Those are something that we replace every, 4 years. Kind of depends on when we have extra money. So we spent less money on computer replacements than we had budgeted, and so we were able to do that, which is always nice. It's always good to get the new ones. They get a little grubby being circulated to the public, so it's always good to start over. And we are able to take all the books that we already own on the old Kindles and move them to the new Kindle, so we don't lose any content. Then on the overview, just a comment. So you'll see in the utility account that we've been talking about forever that we're overspent there. We did the budget amendment. We will, when we bring this year end next month, we'll have December in here. won't be the post-audit year end, but it will be the year end we'll be approving. We will at that point have updated the budgeted amounts to reflect the amendments that were put in. It's always a little confusing on our end to put that in because for tracking our budget amounts over time, Tim and I like to have more notes about where that money came from and when than the city does. So in the city software, they just change it, and there's not a line item to say that it was increased or decreased, and so that always makes me a little bit twitchy. And so we're doing it our own way here, but it will end up there. So other than that, nothing really remarkable. If this were really November, I'd be telling you that I was nervous about spending the collection money by the end of the year, but they always get it done, and it got done. And because it's really February, I know that now. So, yeah, it'll be nice to get to the end of the year so we can kind of see the overall picture. And then just as a reminder, we then bring it back to you again in April for the post-audit approval. So that's sort of the final time that you'll see this one. Any questions on either the register or the overview? Excellent.
Okay. So we'll ask for a vote. All in favor saying aye to approve the financial register and overview, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passed. Unfinished business, I have nothing. So we'll go to new business. And that's the annual review of the bylaws, which was part of the packet that was sent out by Tim last week. Were there any?
So this is kind of a tricky one. Let's not do a motion quite yet. If we have changes that we want to make to this because of what's written in the document, we have to provide 10 days notice to the entire board before we can approve a change. So if we have changes to make, we need to discuss those tonight and bring it back next month for approval. If we don't have changes to this, then we can go ahead and approve it now. And every time we do this, I say, like, this is complicated, but we wrote it into our own document to be complicated.
Yeah, that's appropriate.
Yeah. I went through this fairly carefully. I don't have anything that I would change. We changed something last year, but it was just a dollar amount that needed to be updated to match the city. I think we are very much in line with our legal obligations and all of that. So I think we're in good shape, but if anybody has questions or suggestions, I would be happy to hear them.
I have one question.
Yeah.
In Article 2, Section 3, says that citizen members and the common council members shall serve no more than 2 full consecutive terms, but can be reappointed after a lapse of 1 year.
Yes.
I'm just curious about the history of that. I was reading through our code of ordinances last night for this and one other thing. I know I'm fun at parties. And I didn't see anything in there that required it. So is that a requirement that we have, or is that something from the state that we have to have in there? Or I just was curious.
Term limits were strongly suggested to us when we did this with the guidance of the consultant from South Central.
Okay.
I know they are considering implementing term limits on some other boards and commissions in the city. I don't know who's interested and who's not. I think it's a good idea. I know of other library boards that don't have term limits, and they end up with people for 20 plus years, which I think is not always helpful.
And Logan, is your question regarding term limits or the 1 year lapse in between consecutive terms?
More the term limits. I just trying to think of consistency across all 24, 25 boards and commissions we have in the city.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
No, and I think we are, in this instance, more I don't think we're required, but I think we are guided by the Department of Public Instruction more than the city of Fitchburg.
Okay.
I think it's worked out well for us, so I wouldn't change it.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments, questions, concerns about the bylaws?
Nothing. I think we can have a motion to approve.
Okay.
Go ahead and vote.
Yep. So ask for a vote in favor of approving the bylaws as written. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. And then the 2027 CIP discussion initiation.
Yes, this will be quick. I have been reviewing our current CIP projects and then kind of projecting out what we might be doing in the next, this is supposed to be a 5 to 10 year discussion. What we have on the books so far is to replace the self-check machines next year. We have pushed that off 2 years already. We are still very happy with self-checks. Phil and I and Lisa are going to PLA National Conference in Minneapolis next month, and so we will, I think after that conference, have a better idea of what else is available on the market. We have 2 vendors that we can choose from. I think we had assumed we would be changing vendors, and now we're kind of thinking maybe we're not. So I think we need to look at what is available if it's an upgrade. We're going to be 10 years old. Is that correct, Phil? I think next year they'll be 10 years old.
They'll be 9 years old in a couple months here.
Yeah, so they're still working great. We've had one issue that has kind of happened on all of them as a domino effect, but they have come out and fixed it under contract. So I am not ready to say it's time to push this, but I will have more information over the next couple of months. The other one in 2028 is to replace the library van. Kind of the same situation in that we'll be 10 years old this year. It's running fine. I think we're happy with it. Again, I don't want to hang on to it so long that it becomes a problem. So I think we'll leave that for 28. I also had a really good meeting with Friends a couple of weeks ago, and I think that this is a project that they would be willing to support with us. So I think we could go together on a van. It's what we did last time, and that worked out really well. So I want to continue the discussions with them about if 2028 is a good time for them to do that. So that is, I think, tentatively staying where it is, but I'll have more information coming up. As you know, last year we did the second floor redesign. This year we're doing the children's library project. Next year we are slated to do the rest of the first floor. So the fiction and AV area, we've got chairs that need to be recovered. We've got a place that we think we can add more shelving. We're running out of space in the new book area. So I think that will not be nearly the dollar amount that we have looked at the last 2 projects. We only have so much fund balance, so it's time for it to kind of cool down using it. I'm guessing that will be $75,000 maybe. So we'll look at that for 2027, and then maybe in 2028, but maybe later. So they're building the police station. They're going to then renovate City Hall to move all the departments around, kind of improve the space needs over there. So that'll be a complete renovation. When that happens, the building and ground supervisor will move out of the library basement over to City Hall along with his shop. So we're going to have some extra space in the basement, which will be great for storage. And we'll probably need to do kind of a low-key redesign down there when that happens. So I think that will be 28 or 29. We'll probably put it in 29 and then see how things go. I don't know how fast that'll get done. I don't know how fast that'll get done. That's all kind of to be seen. But that is coming up. And I think that's everything. And then, I keep saying, I want to just stop doing, spend a lot of money out of fund balance, and it makes me a little nervous, so I'd like to build that up. But I think these are all lower dollar amounts than we've been talking. So that's what I have for CIP.
All right. As far as President's report, I just want to mention that earlier this week, Wendy and I met. We went through the annual library report, but that did not come out in time. It wasn't available in time to go out as in the packet to everybody. So that will be out in next month's packet, and we'll go through that more. But it is a ton of statistics, not only the summary of all the financial spreadsheets, but just all the activity that goes on through here, from the number of books and magazines and items that they have on the shelves here, but number of people in and out and programs and all of that. So it's just a ton of detail, a ton of data, I should say. But we'll spend time on that next month. Library Director report.
All right, so, was it last week? Time flies. I went to Library Legislative Day, so went down and spent the day at the Capitol, meeting with our legislators, and we have a big meeting at the beginning of the morning, and Governor U-verse came and spoke. He always does. I'm going to miss him next time. So that was a day well spent. I also went to the Senior Center, invited me to do a presentation about the library to the Fitchburg Active Women's Group. So that was fun. Got to tell them all about our new collections and encourage them to come check out a whole lot of stuff, even if they don't want to read it. This is just a heads up. We are going to turn 15 this year. So we opened in 2011. So we're going to have our 15th anniversary this year. So when I met with the friends, I talked to them about maybe doing some sort of event. Early on in the library history, we did an event called Books and Brews, and we had it was a Saturday evening ticketed event, and we had a bunch of different breweries come in, and you got a little sample glass, and you got to try a bunch of stuff. And people loved it and asked us if we could do it once a month for the rest of the time, and that didn't happen. But they seem interested in kind of resurrecting that. So we were tentatively talking about June 27th, because we turn 15 on the 29th, which is a Monday. So I think that the Friends, we'll help the Friends with that, but that'll probably be mostly a Friends event, maybe a fundraising event for the Children's Library. And then I think on that Monday, staff will work on, do we have cake? Do we give away tote bags? Do we, like, some sort of recognition of the anniversary?
Is that this summer?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not. That is everything for the director's report. Yep.
Okay. Committee reports.
Yes, so we'll start with stats. Find my stats. The only thing that I wanted to point out, where'd they go, is the wireless stats are kind of crazy. So we didn't have wireless stats for the last 3 months of last year. Something seemed to have gone haywire with the counting software that South Central uses with the wireless access points. They seem to be unable to explain what's changed, but they went from being like between like high 30,000 to 50,000, and now they're 88,000 a month. So they're better, but nobody really knows why. We had to clear the DPI to not count the last 3 months of last year because they didn't want it to look like something was askew. So we just went with 9 months and had to make a note on it on the annual report. But we are now putting it in here. So you see 87,000. I really would like an answer about why that changed, but it does not look like I'm going to get one. So anyway, that's all I had on stats. Any questions?
Can you tell me a little bit about what the wireless sessions are?
Sure. So it's, if you come into the library, like I've got my phone knows the Wi-Fi, and it hooks up to it every time I walk in. Okay. Anytime a patron's here and they hook up to the Wi-Fi, like it's free.
I got you.
Even outside. You know, we during COVID installed an access point out on the front patio, so the whole parking lot would have access. So this has happened once before. This is what is confusing. Lisa and I have been dealing with it for a long time. This has happened once before where it went from being like 20,000 a month to 40,000 a month, and they couldn't tell us why then either. And now it's doubled yet again. So I don't know if it's like I come in the morning and my phone and my iPad, hook up, and then I take my phone out to lunch and come back. Is that counting it again? I don't know. Probably. I assume it's something like that. I don't think it's a huge problem, but I just like to understand what's happening.
It's just such an outlier on your stats here. Yeah.
And I feel like the company that runs it should definitely know, but I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, that's all I have for statistics. Facilities, please notice our lovely new, very clean screen that's at the front of the meeting room. Sorry, Rachel, you can't see it, but we can see your face on the nice screen. And there's no marks in front of your face, which is fantastic. So we had a lot of people try to write on the old screen, hence the wording on the bottom of the screen, trying to stop that. It was quite a project to get that installed. Kevin and his guys had installed the first one, so They knew how to do it, but they had to get the lift in here and like 2 of them on the front and 1 of them on the back, and the bolts that hold that thing on the wall it was crazy. It was fun to watch. So we're very happy to have that. The Children's Library Project, I am very happy to say, passed all the committees that it went to. So it went to the Library Board, you remember last month. We went to the Board of Public Works, the Finance Committee, and Common Council. It was approved by all of those, and now 3 weeks later, I am still trying to get a signed copy from City Hall to turn into Bachman Design Group so that we can actually start the project. And this part might make me more crazy than the rest of it. So hopefully that comes back soon, and then we can start scheduling things. I also just this week got a bill for the pump that went bad on the HVAC back in November. We were quoted $7,000, $10,000, a lot of different numbers flying around about replacing that. They ended up taking it apart, rebuilding it, the company that had installed it, and it was $2,800.
Oh.
Which is great until you think about the fact that we only have $5,000 in that account. Not great. So my last piece of information is that I'm working on carryover. So we are allowed to carry over funds from certain accounts from last year to this year if it was unspent. And it looks like carryover for that 240 account was going to be $7,850. So we're not in as terrible shape as we thought. Fingers crossed for the rest of the year. And that is everything for facilities. I have no update for personnel. So we can move into strategic planning, which is what all these people are here for. Yay. So as you know, we've been working on a new strategic plan. The old one ended in 23. We gave ourselves 24 off. And we started working on the new one in 2025. So we formed committees. So Lisa and Phil decided or signed, I don't know. It kind of went both ways, to do the environmental scan part of it. And then Tegan and Kristen did the survey part. Just to give you an idea, we didn't just do this blind. We were using this as kind of a guide. This is a book from ALA on creating a staff-led strategic plan for libraries specifically. I had a couple of friends at other libraries that had used it, so we kind of went on their recommendation. We also really used a lot of what we did in the last one. So this is our 3rd strategic plan since we opened, and the first one was very robust and required a lot of time for every board member and every staff member, and it was kind of overwhelming. And so when we went into the second one, we really wanted to kind of scale back and make it more manageable. Like, we only have so many resources, so much time. And so we were really happy with it. I think we got a lot of things done. COVID for sure messed up the whole thing, got its own section that we didn't expect to add in there, but we really were happy with the kind of the setup of it because we were able to add it in there. And so we followed both the book and kind of what we had done last time. But we are gonna go ahead and share with you what we started with, and I think
Survey.
Kristen and Tegan are gonna start, with the survey. Hey.
So Tegan and I worked on the survey together, and excuse me. So I'll tell you a little bit about the process that we went through. Some of the things we took into account, it was the previous strategic planning survey, which was quite a bit longer than what we wanted for this this version. We looked at surveys, smaller surveys from other libraries, just to get an idea of what questions we really wanted to get in there with the limited space. We also took into account the city was doing the strategic planning survey at the same time, or a little bit before us. And then we wanted to make sure that the length wasn't going to stop people from actually filling it out. We didn't want people to open it and be like, oh, no, you know.
Yep.
So, yeah, we tried to keep it pretty short. We ended up with 10 questions, 2 open-ended questions. We did the survey in the middle of the summer, so June 16th through July 14th, so we had it for a month. We tried to line that up with summer reading and the Friends book sale, just trying to get as many eyes on it as we could. Some of the ways that we got it out there was that we put up signs with QR codes to the survey in both English and Spanish. We had paper copies available in the library, City Hall, and the Senior Center. And then we also made bookmarks and stuck them in all the holds, so anyone who picked up a hold during that time had a QR code, and then we had them at all the desks as well. We did some Facebook posts, and we also put it out on our listserv emails. So, which we found out from the survey is a great way. I guess that is how people are finding us. So it worked out well. So some of our survey data and responses. So we ended up with about 437 responses, which was pretty good. I think it was even a little higher than the cities. So it's nice that people wanted to answer our questions. As you can see, the majority of our users who responded were Fitchburg residents. It's about 91.8% there. And then we also found out that a lot of our patrons also use other local libraries, so, and especially the Verona Public Library. And then if you add up the 3 Madison libraries there, it's about the same, equal to the same amount. And then obviously Oregon Library is close as well, so that gets used. Okay, but we also have frequent library users here. 83% of our respondents say they use the library at least once a month, and then there's 43% that actually use it weekly. So we see a lot of the patrons coming in often, which is great. And the top reasons that they are visiting the library is to borrow materials, attend library programs, and that's both adult and children's programs, and then to attend meetings and both of our nice meeting rooms. So. And then, that was just why we use the library at the bottom. And then Tegan will take it from here.
All right, so I'm going to talk about the 2 open-ended questions we had and kind of go through some of the overall results from that. So the first question was, what new services would you like to see? The top response categories were adult programs, CERC, digital services, and then youth programs. With adult programming, we saw a lot of responses for more new adults, so the younger adults, like about 18 to 30, looking for programs for that age range. And then also crafting and how-to programs were the top responses in there. And then we also had a lot of requests for Library of Things, so that we kind of categorized under CERC. So we have started doing puzzles, but there are a lot of requests for other materials as well. Digital services, their requests for tech classes, more digital collections like Hoopla and Canopy, so a lot of the more film items. And then there are also requests for Makerspace. And then there was also improving what digital collections we have, so improving the wait times on Libby and Overdrive and having more titles available there. And then with youth programs, there was a lot of requests for tween as well as evening and weekend options. And then the final one was more outreach to schools and some of the underserved communities was another request that we received. And then this last point was better marketing. That wasn't necessarily a response, but we did receive a lot of responses for new services of services that we already actually have.
Yeah.
So we added that as something that we could do better on.
It's always a little frustrating.
Yeah.
People say, wish you would have story time on Saturday, and we do.
Question on Library of Things. So you said you got a lot of requests for other things, such as?
Trying to remember that. Tools I know was one. Yeah. Seeds. Yeah.
Sometimes like cooking.
Yeah,
Cake
pans,
pans,
baking pans.
I got you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. And the second open-ended question was, what would encourage patrons to use the library more? So again, a lot of these responses were actually very similar to the first question. One of them was the more adult programming, again, that new adult category, crafting and how-to. Then there was a category of administration, and we include improved transportation, which is beyond our control, but we did receive that response quite a lot. More hours, Sundays year-round, and then extending our evenings. Again, there was the youth programs with the tweens and evening and weekend programs. And then we also had book collections in this one. So added genres. I know there was a request for horror and getting more genre labels in there. And then also just new books in general, more extra copies of popular titles, and then there were also requests for more indie authors. And then the final one was improved website, so navigation there. And those were responses we have for those questions.
Can I ask a follow-up question? When you were asking what other libraries people used, any thoughts or questioning around why they were using other libraries?
We didn't ask specifically, but I mean, there are certain reasons we know, just generally with kids in the school district at Verona or Oregon, they're going to maybe also use that library. I know I, for one, when I had small children, would kind of hop around to see whatever was going on.
Yeah.
That's, you know,
Shopping.
Yeah.
Shopping around. Yeah. I think it would be really helpful next survey to ask that as a follow-up question. I know we do our own kind of analysis, and you've shared some of the reasons why Verona Library is popular, directly feeding, you know, the CIP work this year, but having that would be really helpful.
Yep.
In thinking back on the rollout of the survey, you know, you list several avenues how you distribute the survey. In reflecting back, what would you do perhaps differently in terms of getting out to, you know, the survey to underserved population, not only people of color, but I'm just thinking people who you don't see using the library in general.
So we did have, so Minda, I know, when she was doing outreach. She took the bookmarks, I think, mostly out to outreach. I think I guess the complicating factor there is that you can hand out a bookmark, but you can't provide them with a way to take it.
Yeah.
I don't know if she took paper copies. I don't, you know, she mostly gets unsupervised kids, so sending them home with a paper copy, if anything, is not.
I think she had some paper copies maybe at the Munch Mobile.
Oh, yeah. So we did make an effort. Through what avenues we had.
Yeah, I know she did have some Spanish copies as well that she took.
She might have actually had an iPad with her as well, if anyone wanted to scan it.
That's one area of when you do survey, you survey the people you usually.
I know, it's frustrating because as you can see, like most of the
problem.
people that answered the survey are already library users. It's real hard to get out to non-library users, and I think we use the methods that we had. I think there's always room for improvement. I don't know what else I would say that we would do if we did it today.
Maybe next time, I'm not probably the next round. I don't know if I would still be on the board.
Right.
But I would say, you know, the board probably could help.
So it was sent out to board members to share.
Yeah, but I mean, perhaps more of like commitment to an effort of like what you're gonna do, not sort of like.
Sure.
We hope you will send that out. Right? Perhaps make us work.
You're gonna write that down with your name.
Maybe on the side of Fish Hatchery Road with a QR code.
Maybe there's a way that Fitchburg Star can help us with that.
Possibly.
Captive readers, captive audiences, and maybe Logan has a point of view on this, but figuring out where those people are, that you could just put that in front of them.
Yeah.
I wonder too, because like Minda works with me in the schools, you know what I mean? So I wonder too if getting that like with some programs that you're doing at that time and getting it to the kids, right? Because she does it like at the end of the school.
Well, and maybe next time, like we thought summer was the best time to do it because it's the heaviest traffic that we see, but maybe it would be better to do it during the school
Or
year.
like before winter break, right? Like when kids are looking for things to do during the week and then that goes home and then grown-ups can help.
Yeah.
Or we can go sit in front of Verona Library. Help the survey.
Please skip across their door saying closed.
Sunglasses and fake mustaches.
Right.
We're not from Fitchburg.
All right, let's move on to environmental scan.
Yeah, so in addition to the survey, Lisa and I worked to gather up statistical information to kind of give us a starting point and to kind of branch out from there. We looked Obviously, we looked at the previous two strategic plans that we had as starting points with that, with the general idea of kind of trying to collect a broad overview of strengths, weaknesses, and kind of what makes us unique, and kind of what we're looking at that way. In gathering the data, we looked at 5 other municipalities for comparison. And when we went through that, we really tried to get a mixture of like close proximity to us, so like Oregon and Verona, similar sizes of cities like Sun Prairie and Oak Creek and Beloit, and then also trying to get some, specifically with Oak Creek, on a community that is sort of a suburb of the larger Milwaukee area as well, to kind of get a little bit of similarities between that and good comparison points. When we narrowed down what we were looking at for the different libraries we were going to compare to, the data sources we used were pretty heavily used by Department of Public Instruction. They do an annual library statistical summary that was sent out, so we did that for 2019 through 2023 for the statistical data gathering. And then in addition to that, we did quite a bit of work on census.gov, to be honest, using this census information, American Community Survey, all the stuff that is listed that way. And the time frame for this data gathering process was the couple of months there from March to May of 2025. So that's why we don't have 2024 information in the gathering process, because we've been doing it for about a year now. And so we gathered 2019 through 2023 as kind of that starting point there.
All right, so delving right into all this data. So looking at demographics for a resident population, we first looked at population and population growth for all these different communities that we were surveying. Across the board, as you can see on this, populations are growing, but you can also see that Fitchburg has a higher growth rate than compared to most of these other surrounding areas, which is probably not surprising if you live and work in Fitchburg, but it's good to kind of see it here in data. And this is the growth, including that addition of that part of the town of Madison that we absorbed as well. There we are, okay. Looking at the diversity as well, so I think many of us know that Fitchburg is a highly diverse community. It's much more diverse than nearly all the other surveyed libraries and library areas. It's truly one of the features that makes our community unique. So it was interesting to see in the numbers here, especially in Dane County, between these just very generalized populations of African American, Hispanic, and Asian with these diversities, we have considerably higher rates of diversity, as you can see, compared to our immediate neighbors, and especially even Wisconsin as a whole. Really the only comparable one is Beloit is in diversity. And this is from the American Community Survey, as you can see. This data for registered library borrowers, so this is the number of people who have the percentage of residents with library accounts. So this is broken up by community. So this is obviously more library-focused data. We're looking at percentage of regular borrowers. So you can see they're all kind of on a gradual decline, except for Beloit.
Yeah,
and we're
what's
not.
up with Beloit?
I know it doesn't make any sense.
We have been wondering this whole time, why Beloit is kind of this outlier here. We're not entirely sure. We have guesses that maybe they signed them up with schools, like in school they have them signed up. We don't really know. So Beloit is kind of the outlier here. But if we look at the other communities with us, those 5, Fitchburg through Oak Creek, we all kind of have similar trends in data there. So we're in line with these general trends. So there's an average of 10.4% decrease in registered borrowers between the 2019 and 2023 data here. But Fitchburg was actually the second lowest decrease at 9.7%, so not too bad.
Lisa, just looking at the decline,
Yeah.
So percent of registered accounts, are our account numbers going down, or is the account numbers flat, but the population is increasing, therefore the percentage of population is going to shrink? I'm just trying to...
I think from the annual, sorry to butt in, from the annual data we pull for our annual report, it's both. So it's like gradually slightly going down for the total number of registered borrowers that are Fitchburg residents as the population rises. So obviously it's not a massive amount that happens, but from those numbers we pull on an annual basis. It is every year a little bit lower, so.
Can you go back to the previous slide? Because I'm thinking Beloit has the highest percent of African American and Hispanic, right? So if you look at the number, like the membership rate, there's something there worth looking at.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and we don't have that exact data, but that is an interesting
'cause
point, for sure.
Like, wow,
Yes.
right?
They're at almost 100% at one point.
Like, what are they doing differently?
Right.
My guess is they're doing something, so Madison schools, I think, for a while were doing something where they were trying to have cards made up for kids, like in every class, without them asking for it or filling out the application. My guess is they're doing something like that.
Yeah.
That they had some sort of concerted push to do that. I have questions about the
Get you a library card with a
ethics of that.
certificate or something.
Right.
Yeah, so if you have the
something.
cards on the account, but you're not using it.
Right.
'Cause that-
Right, because having an account doesn't mean.
Exactly.
Right. Yes. But it drives this number up.
Right.
Yeah, which looks really good.
Right.
It does.
Right.
I
So,
almost wondered if it was North and South Beloit together without looking at the state line.
right.
But I can't prove any of that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
We tried to
No.
suss that out.
There's always an element because we're pulling this from.
No, they
Annual
don't have
reports.
that better in Illinois.
No. No, for sure. But yeah, we never really figured that out. But like Lisa said, with kind of looking at the rest of that data, we're pretty much in line with the rest that we have there. So for kind of trends, and kind of looking at that as well with looking at library visits over time, obviously every library took a hit in 2020 with closures for COVID and so forth. So we are kind of the lighter green line there. And, our numbers have recovered a little slower than some of the numbers in the area, but it is generally within the kind of guidelines of what we're looking at here for kind of that recovery of library visits after COVID. But I do think it shows kind of a through line for what we're finding in the data and some of the stuff that we were talking about, obviously with the surveyed information as well, of just making it a priority to increase library visits and library usage is kind of a general thing that we're looking at. Looking at programming, the number of programs and program attendance that we have, they have continued to increase steadily along with the other libraries that we measured in the area. Verona has some kind of spikes in there that are a little bit strange for 2022 to 2023 for program attendance. I don't quite understand why that's there, and we couldn't figure that out looking through the data as well. I know Oak Creek was closed for a while, so that's why their program numbers have kind of spiked as well as they reopened after, I don't remember if they were doing a new building.
I think they either renovated or they moved.
Renovation, yeah. So, but generally speaking, increases since COVID, the number of programs, program attendance as well, things are still continuing to go up, which is good. For circulation of library items, also consistent with the other libraries within the measured time frame that we looked at. And outside of this number, one of the things that I always look at every year is where do we stand in the South Central Library System for a number of checkouts that we have. And we've been basically the 7th highest circulator out of 65 libraries, basically since we started tracking that number. Before COVID, after COVID, right now at the end of 2025, we were still there as well. So generally speaking, things have stayed about the same. Generally, one of the other things we've been noticing is that library usage is slowly going down slightly. So that's something that happens it's the 2022 to 2023 physical checkout number was like 1,000 lower or something along those lines. So it's like 1/3% or something like that we've switched there. But
Go ahead.
oh no, I was going to say it's all pretty much in line with what we're looking at, with the exception being digital items and digital circulation being progressively going up like everybody else.
Yeah, so you take a look at physical item circulation and digital item circulation of Beloit at the bottom of the graph, even though their
That's a
the
good
number
point.
of registered count holders are
Right.
double everybody else. So
I call shenanigans.
there's something really strange.
We can't officially call shenanigans, but so it doesn't, yeah. So, but yeah, otherwise it's generally kind of in line with what a lot of the other libraries are looking at, what we have there. A strange one that's a little bit hard to describe is we wanted to look at something that's going to come up and something that we've talked about before is this concept and this funding that goes around in Dane County called cross-municipal borrowing. I don't want to get into the weeds with it too much because it's way too easy to lose hours and hours kind of rooting through that data. But the bottom line is, like, I'm a Madison resident. Every time I check out here at Fitchburg, Madison pays Fitchburg money for the provision of library service that they've given me. And generally speaking, that all just kind of washes around. And in the library areas, we all have patrons that we share and so forth. But one of the things that we wanted to look at and something to kind of highlight as an area for improvement is we looked at, this chart shows the percentage of checkouts that were done at your home library effectively. So 69.6% of the time Fitchburg residents checked out here at Fitchburg. I don't think it's reasonable to ever presume that we would get a 90-something% checkout that way just geographically for where we are. It's difficult to tell people who live 2 blocks from South Madison or from the Meadow Ridge Library that they should come here instead. But it shows something to kind of focus on, and like we were saying before with the idea of increasing library visits and library usage, that's kind of goes hand in hand with something to work on there.
Yep.
So
I feel like this slide really speaks to the fact that Fitchburg is so spread out.
Yeah.
And there's not a downtown. So people are.
Yeah, there is something to Fitchburg being a 3-city community.
Yeah.
And just, personal experience, our social circle is our kids' schools.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
you probably go to where your social circles are, and
Yep.
Oregon kids and Oregon families are going to Oregon
Yep.
Library. Same thing with Verona, even if they are technically Fitchburg residents. So.
Yep. And I think most of the people that go to Madison schools are much closer to a Madison library location.
Right. So.
And I think we knew this was a struggle when we opened the library. I
Absolutely.
don't know that I thought we'd still be talking about it 15 years later, but I think this is much harder to overcome than we
Well, we definitely more fluid, like everybody said, right, in terms of as a community. When you look at Sun Prairie or one here, Mount Horeb, they can't really go anywhere else.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, I will also say we are fortunate and maybe a little bit unfortunate that we've got really good competition close to us. Like Verona's a great library, Oregon's a great library, like Madison's got good libraries. Like I don't know that there's that kind of competition near Sun Prairie. So, yeah, there's a lot of different things that I think feed into this. But
Now, in terms of, I'm just thinking, if let's say, I don't know how much DPI really look at this data, right? But do they compare us to similar community? And instead of comparing us in terms of, in future funding or whatever it may be, as sort of a study, right? If you look at apple and not.
So DPI is only like collecting information. So they're providing the information and people can pull it and do what they want. Where the money comes in is Dane County.
Right.
And Dane County is not really interested in having a different setup for a community that thinks that they're different, right? Like they have to do one thing that applies to everybody.
Yeah, which is a whole.
Which is not helping us.
And the whole problem with diversity and differences, right?
Yes.
Where we're not going to do it's not equal,
right?
In some way. Yeah.
And they, I think I've shared this, but they did bring in a consultant a couple of years ago. We all split the cost of it to see if there was a better way to divvy up, and equity was certainly one of the lenses that they applied in there. They looked at like free and reduced lunches was one of the ways they looked at it. Like that doesn't do anything for Fitchburg. We don't have a school district. Right. Yeah. So that all would have gone to other. So I don't know. They never did come up with a better way to do it. So I'm hopeful maybe in the future it will change, but not soon. Yeah. All right, so moving on, we're going to talk about what we are kind of coming out of this with. So we have spent a lot of time looking at all of this information and kind of coming up with goals for the next strategic plan. Go ahead. And these are the 5 that we've come up with. So spaces, collection, usage, marketing, programming, and staffing. And this is based on what we got from the survey, what we saw, but also what we see in the building. We're here all the time. So what we hear from people versus what is really happening here. We talk about it being frustrating to get suggestions in the survey that we know are already happening. So wanting to address that for sure. Staffing is a new one for us. So we've done some version of the other ones in the past, but staffing is kind of a new one for us. But we'll go through these each. So spaces. So some of this we've already done, but it is in the time frame of this plan, so we're taking credit for it. The second floor redesign is not going to get lost in between plans. Children's library redesign is on its way now. First floor redesign next year. And then the basement redesign coming up sometime. And then the pollinator garden is another one. So that was really wasted space. They gave us a lot of really nice garden beds. We had no staff or money to deal with any of it. It was lovely when it opened, and then it just kind of got overgrown. And so we're very lucky to have the master gardeners that are helping Minda work on the pollinator garden. Next, collection usage. So I think this is hopefully this can improve some of the numbers that we've been looking at tonight. So exploring strategies for increasing circulation across the board. Encouraging our Fitchburg residents to use FPL. This is going to blend into a couple of other goals as well. Analysis of the collection. So we can pull a lot of data on the collection to see what parts of it are circulating the best. So are picture books going out the best, or are Lucky Day going out the best? And should we shift our purchasing priorities to kind of capitalize on that? And then researching additional non-traditional library collections. So puzzles that we added have been going out really well. We talk about a library of things. Those get real complicated real fast. I'm going to say I'm not willing to have a gas can in the library. I'm not willing to check something out that requires an insurance waiver. So I will also say I know of a library in the area that has a cake pan cleaning fee when the cake pans are dirty. Now, I don't really want to be, right? Like, you have to be careful about what you take on. But I think we thought for a long time that puzzles were a no-go, and they're great. So we need to be open-minded about what we're looking at, but also be reasonable. Marketing. Marketing is always going to be a challenge. It's not our forte. We need to do better. I think all libraries need to do better. It is frustrating because I feel like we do a lot of it and it doesn't get seen, and then it just feels like you're kind of banging your head against a wall. We came up with this awesome idea, Rachel in circulation. I will always give her credit for this. Find it at Fitchburg. She came up with this at a staff in-service when we were kind of just spitballing about how to get people to check out here and how to get people to understand kind of the situation without it being sour grapes. So we have not fleshed this out. We need to. It'll probably be one of the first things that we work on. But how do we get the public to understand that if you're a Fitchburg resident, we really need you to check out Fitchburg? Not because we hate Verona, not because we hate anybody. We want you to use all of them, but that there is a financial repercussion when you're not checking out here. And then just how do we get people to know about our services? Like when people say, I just really wish you had story times on, whatever day, and we actually do have story times on that day, and they just didn't bother to check. Like, that's really frustrating. So how do we do that better? Reevaluation of current communication strategies. So are the things that we're doing now, libraries are really good at taking on new tasks. They are really bad at getting rid of old ones. So we really need to be honest with ourselves about, like, if whatever we're doing now is not worth the time and effort, like, let's switch to do something else. Email and newsletter distribution options. I don't know if any of you have had this experience lately, but we do. We have several different email lists, and some of them are weekly, some of them are every other week, and they go through this city website, which we're not thrilled about. I don't think it's exactly how it was intended to be used. I don't think it works very well. But recently it started, instead of saying, like, here's a program, it was mushing them all together into one block of text, and people were really frustrated with it. And it's completely the website vendors' responsibility, and we had a real hard time getting them to respond. And now I think we're going to have to go back through our whole list and fix things, and I don't know. I feel like there might be a better way. I feel like we might not be able to afford the better way. So we're going to have to look at all of that kind of together. I'm exhausted already. Thank you. Perk up. Okay, programming. I think we do awesome at programming, but there's always room for improvement. So how do we appeal to a more diverse audience? We're always looking at that. What are we doing now that we can extrapolate out to other things? But I would also say, we don't write this down, but like, what are we doing that we shouldn't be doing? Like, are there things that we're spending time on that we don't need to? Expand book club offerings. We've already started doing this. We started one genre book club, and it just kind of went gangbusters. And for years, I feel like I don't know, the theory behind book clubs, I think, is to make it general enough so that anybody could attend any one of them. And it turns out that's not really what people want. People right now want, and I think this might be the young adult group, like they like sci-fi and they want to come read sci-fi. And that's been going really well. We also added one, the Swoon Society, is that what it is?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
At the Rusty V Lounge. It's fantastic. They've been a great partner. Like, they're willing to turn down the music and change the chairs around, and they're real excited to have us there, which is fantastic. So trying different things like that. And then the new community center, Hostahochi, which is up on Traceway. We are going to starting very small because we do not have additional staff to do this, but we're going to try to do some outreach programming up there starting in April. So that's programming. Staffing is kind of a new one for us. So 15 years in, I think it's time for us to take a real hard look at every part of the hiring process. The city has recently done an RFP and is switching to a new timekeeping software, and we're told that there is some scheduling software that might be available in there as well. So we want to look at that. So that's for current staff. But then the recruitment and hiring process, what I think we want to do is go from step one. Are our position descriptions equitable? Are they where we want them to be? Are the requirements for the job reasonable? And then I think we've done this before, but like sometimes we go in and fake apply for our own jobs just to see what the process is like. Because it's easy, like the HR department kind of handles the whole process, but if we go in and see, like, do you have to answer this question? Do you have to answer, like, how much of this do you have to fill in? Because we get it on the other end of it, and people don't fill stuff out. We don't know if they have knowingly skipped it or what it was. So I want to go through that whole thing. I think we can also position by position require different things. So if you're applying to be a
more about the goals.
Yep.
Go back to spaces. I'm
some of them use their own staff to run it, which we can't do. Like, we just don't have enough staff. I would love to do it. I also worry about Oasis being across the street because I think they're a really good partner for us.
Oh, sure.
And I don't want to take business away from them. I would also very much like to have coffee in the library. I would love to get a latte.
In the library, right? As a.
I mean, we could certainly, I don't know where exactly to put it or how to run it.
You know, UW-Madison has those little robot delivery buggy things. Maybe just, mobile order from Oasis.
Across the street.
Yeah.
Maybe. They could bring me pelmeni for lunch.
At the duck pond, they deliver beers, with the zip line. So maybe it's a zip line. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carousel that.
Yeah.
flies by.
I think that's a great idea. I would love to figure out a way to do it, but it cannot be with library staff.
Yep. Makes sense.
Yep.
And what was the second goal? There was one there too. Yeah.
Collection usage.
I think transportation, connect it into, there's a real need, I think, in Post Road area that I don't remember who it all I've talked with about it, but like the fact that the library is here and not there, we can't do anything about it, but what can we do to get people from there here? Like safe biking routes and showing kids that it is safe and, how to encourage that. I don't know if, Logan, you've looked at that with city, and that's something that has been top of mind for me and meets a lot of needs, right? So healthy cities and getting kids to the library.
Yeah. Well, I think a couple things come to mind immediately. First, having Hostahochi, I think, will be a great opportunity to, go where people are versus making them come to us. When they do want to come to us, we had the money in the budget for 2026 and exact rollout still TBD about expanding the bus route 65 and 75 to all-day service, and then taking Route 65 and sending it up to McKee Farms Park area over right behind Walgreens, and then bringing the B route down there from Pick and Save. So that way folks could get on the bus. If they're in Terra Vesta, they could come out here. If they're in Southdale, they could come out here. If they're along Fish Hatchery Road, they'd have to transfer, but they could get out here. If they're kind of along the McKee Road corridor, they'd have to transfer, but they could get here. And that also includes an expansion of paratransit. So anybody within 3/4 of a mile of a fixed route bus would be able to use the paratransit service. And that would incorporate nearly all of the urban service area of Fitchburg once those routes are live and the buses are on the street. So that will happen within this strategic plan window, which I think should help quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, transportation's been a hot topic for us since we opened.
I even thought like when you go to city and they have hop on and off and there's that shuttle idea, right? If there's a way to have, but then I don't know how many people will hop on to get on the shuttle to come to the library and city hall, so.
Well, with bus transit, I mean, for years, they want to see proof of ridership before they increase service, but you can't. If you don't have the service, nobody's using it. So it's a real chicken and egg kind of a thing. I've been on a couple of committees to look at transit since I've been here. And one of them was trying to do some sort of just Fitchburg bus service. But that turns out to be tremendously expensive with insurance and drivers and all that and vehicles. They did ride share. We actually did ride share for maybe a year and a half. That was supposed to be the fix, and it was a terrible experience. It wasn't used, but it wasn't a great. The service was not great. It's frustrating to not have. Madison Metro is the obvious. I think this will help, but it is tremendously expensive.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Hopefully with some of the changes to fare capping and the passes that I think if you're in the Madison School District, I'm not sure about others, I think you get a reduced or different rate bus pass maybe for summer, maybe for all year. So we may be able to leverage some of those existing structures. And I don't know if B-Cycle does anything for maybe students who are on free and reduced lunch, or for seniors or folks who are 55, 65 plus, whatever their cutoff is. There might be things to explore there within those existing structures. And there's a station right out front, I believe.
Yep, and one over at City Hall.
Yeah. And the transportation issue is something that is far and above beyond the library. I know the senior center has, and the community center too. It is a common issue shared among our entire civic campus here. And from conversations with the senior center, I know that they don't have the staffing to be taking on the responsibilities that come with triaging a fleet of drivers or anything like that. So
I think Jill would like to try though.
I sense a little sarcasm in that.
No, I think she would. She's always talking about getting buses. And I'm always talking about insurance, so. Yeah.
And then on the marketing front,
Yeah.
I think there are some great influencers in and around Fitchburg. Like I think highly of Joe Maldonado and his ability to turn out groups of individuals that have a collective mission. And Logan is celebrity status now, being on the council.
Sorry.
But just tapping into that and figuring out who are the influencers in the community, and it doesn't have to be paid or anything. It's just they want to, I'm sure, help.
Yeah.
But it just takes an approach.
Yep.
And to follow up on that, I was thinking, are there libraries out there that do a really good job with marketing that we could look at best practices and how they do it?
Yep.
And we could, don't have to come up with something new. Right?
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah, the conference that we're going to in Minneapolis, I'm hopeful that we can go to some sessions there and see who's kind of leading in that area.
So I don't have, I'm just going to talk about something I don't know anything about, but I don't have TikTok, right? And everybody I talk to, I saw that on TikTok, and and then it's like, maybe that's where we need to go, but I don't really know. I don't watch it.
I don't either.
Right? So, but
I have a lot of feelings about social media.
Perhaps
so
to be
it's hard.
culturally relevant, that's where we need to go. But
Right.
I don't know what that looked like either. But there must be library out there that are doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
Libraries have some of the best viral stuff on Instagram, and I'm not on TikTok too often, but the same thing, the videos of the trust fall, and then then they fall into a stack of books. There's all these things. It's every time I see them, I'm like, yeah, I understand why this has 3 million likes, even though it's the West Fargo, North Dakota public library system or something.
Yeah. My son had is a student at University of Minnesota, and his house, there's 5 of them, the roommates, and they decided one day to just start cleaning 1 tile a day in their kitchen, and people just watch them clean 1 tile a day, and they have almost 1 million followers, and they have people sending them from their wish list cleaning supply and beers. They get beer sponsorship. It's just crazy. I don't get it at all. I'm like, I don't understand, but that just no money put in, and they get free stuff all over the place.
Right.
Another thing with marketing that's kind of come to mind for me is in that same vein of, if they get to find it at Fitchburg, I could think of Skelly and Wishbone with the Carmen Sandiego hat and a magnifying glass.
Yep.
And then maybe a miniature version, or you have a younger staffer run around and peek through the stacks and where is this? And it's kind of A, leaning into that virality, and B, physically showing someone, yes, it's in the children's section, and it's under this, it's in this category, and it's in the back corner, or this is my favorite chair to sit and study in the new study pod.
Right.
That could be
I have to direct some things for us.
My video editing days are it feels a little rusty, but see what I can do.
Can we go to the last one? I just wanted to show, because I'm not sure that everybody has seen this. The next one.
But I like the picture.
No, I don't want to look. That's the picture from opening day.
But it's a picture from 15 years ago, and there's some people in this room.
50%.
Wow.
I know. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, that shows you we're good on retention, right?
There you go.
We're just babies in that picture. This one. So this is from the last strategic plan, and I have a paper copy if anybody wants to see it. And this is just to show we're going to keep the same framework. So if you see over on the left, there's work group names. So the idea with this format is that we can have a work group that comes together with the necessary people, does the work for the project, and then when they're done, they disband. So it's not, the first strategic plan, we had groups that were 3 years was the expectation that you spent on it, and that was, nobody wanted to do that. We found out. So this allows us a lot of flexibility. And things can be more than one goal. So you have a project that really touches on, 2 or 3 things. This fits that kind of model. So very flexible. And then as we as we get the next one going, this is what we'll bring to the board, sort of as a reporting feature from time to time.
Sounds good.
So it's a good way for us to keep track of what we've done. We are kind of guilty of like 3 months pass and then we open this advantage meeting and we're like, oh my God, we have to put this in, we haven't put that in, like we're missing a bunch of stuff. And then we have to remember dates and stuff. So we're going to try to be better about updating this time.
Okay.
But it worked out really well last time. We got a ton of stuff done. This is just the first page. It went to 2 full pages. So yeah, so that's where we are. I'm very happy with how it's gone. I think we'll get a lot of stuff done with this. I think we have a lot of work to do, for sure. But I think the potential of making some really big improvements is there. So
Okay.
that's what we have for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
On behalf of the board and all the library patrons, thank you to each of you and to your staffs for all you do to make Fitchburg and this library a great place to be.
Yay.
So thank you. Have nothing else in any new business, anything that anybody's needs to bring forward? So then just to announce that our next meeting will be at 5:30 on March 18th here in this room. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion.
Motion made. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much, everybody.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.